Hey guys, this is Jared, Transformational Coaching, Action is Transformation. In this video, we're going to get into what love actually is. A lot of us in the Western, modern, developed world have grown up with stories, fictitious tales of love being everything that conquers all. I'm thinking of The Little Mermaid. There's plenty of other examples. But really our culture is filled with stories of love defeating and conquering everything, when in reality our relationship and understanding to love is very misguided and very unclear because of the world we've grown up in. In this video, I'm going to share with you what love really is, what it actually looks like, and some of the healthy traits that you can adapt to your own lifestyle so you can recognize love when you see it and actually go towards it in a way that's healthy and not destructive or abusive to you or other parties involved. When I look at any Disney movie such as The Little Mermaid, I always see the same narrative. Number one, man finds a damsel in distress. For instance, Ariel's on a beach, she's naked and she's mute and she's pretty, and somehow he immediately falls in love with her. Number two, that man then suddenly feels obligated to go and save her somehow, or save something that she's caught up in, her own issues and patterns and challenges. And finally, number three, at the end of it all, they can finally come together. This teaches us that love has to be this struggle full of toil and tribulation, and that it's to be epitomized. Now the reality of it is we live in a consumeristic culture that's always wanting to sell us things, and if all love stories were based around peace and understanding and there not being too many challenges or issues, well then if that's the case, then we wouldn't really sell a lot of stories and sell a lot of books or movies. So our ideas of love that have been conditioned into us really have nothing to do with what a healthy relationship and a healthy, satisfying relationship and partnership actually is. Number one, love is not worth sacrificing yourself or the well-being of another person. And maybe for a little bit, but eventually it'll get too painful and you'll begin to ask yourself, why am I really in this relationship? I know for me, I had to question relationships many times and left relationships that were no longer healthy, or that I no longer enjoyed, or that were no longer giving me what it is that I really wanted and needed, and what it is that that other person wanted and needed. A relationship is a compromise, yes. However, this passionate emotion that causes so much destruction to our lives and the lives of others, if that's all for love, then that's really unhealthy. Think Romeo and Juliet. It was originally written as a satire to the dangers of young love. Two people died in it. Families were split apart. Think Helen of Troy. A whole war was started over a relationship with one woman. So there's a lot to be at stake when it comes to love, and we don't want to go down paths where people are going to be seriously hurt in the long run, or where we'll be hurt in the long run. I can't tell you how many individuals I've coached who for years were in unhealthy and abusive relationships. And those unhealthy and abusive relationships they stayed in because they thought that that was what love was about, when in reality, it's not what it's about at all. And if you're that type of person who says, well, I don't live with regrets, regret isn't necessarily a bad emotion. It's actually a healthy emotion to feel, so where you can move on to the next thing that life has to offer for us. However, that being said, it's not important to stay in regret. So if you're one of the people who say live life with no regrets, there's definitely some repression there emotionally. There's nothing wrong with regret. It's healthy. It allows you to move on to the next stage. It becomes unhealthy when you stay in it. Number two, love does not solve all your issues. Many of the times when I've coached individuals, I see them jump from one relationship to the next, hoping to find that person who's right for them, when really they haven't found the person who's right for them, which is themselves. First, we always have to start with ourselves, fix our own issues, get our own shit straightened out, and then from that place, we can have a healthy relationship. If you're avoiding being with yourself and you're getting into relationships with other individuals all the time, then ask yourself, what am I really running from? Because no matter what you run from and whatever you don't deal with in here, it's going to be dragged into the relationship and it's going to play out in the relationship. So it's important for us to recognize that if we feel something on the inside or something is happening within us and we want to avoid it and we're trying to find that good feeling of love outside of ourselves with another person to avoid ourselves, to distract ourselves from the real shit that we haven't dealt with yet, well, it's going to come into the relationship. It's going to play out. We cannot run from whatever's going on in here. We can only suppress it for so long, and it will affect the relationships that we have. It will come out and affect what's happening in our relationship with another human being. It has to. The very nature of relationship is that we're sharing our full self with another person. We're being intimate. They see within us. They see what's really going on. And so when we're really intimate in this way, what happens is all the stuff that we've been running from comes from the surface, comes through out onto the surface, and then our partner many of the times has to deal with it as well too. So if you're using relationships as a means to run away, to not do the healing work, to not do the inner work, or just from simply not growing up or adulting, then ask yourself, what is it that I need to heal within here and really get straight and fix? And you can still go into a relationship, but let that person know ahead of time, hey, I'm kind of dealing with this stuff and this is coming up. Are you okay if we work through this? And if many of the times we don't even know what's coming up. You know, for me, I've been in relationships where I didn't even know I had issues until I actually got in the relationship, and the relationship brought out the inner work. It showed to me what it was that I was actually avoiding. At times I've coached individuals who jump from one relationship to the next, and then as soon as there's one sign of it going wrong or negative, they bail or they leave. I've even coached individuals who don't have any reason to leave the relationship. It's just getting so good that they think that relationship can't get that good, and they're really scared, and their belief system doesn't allow them to accept the fact that they have an awesome relationship. And so it's really interesting for me as a coach to see where individuals shut down or where they open up. Sometimes people shut down when the relationship's going really well. Sometimes they leave the relationship when it's not going really well. And if you're in either of these categories, just ask yourself, what is it that I really want in a relationship? What is it that I'm really looking for? Love isn't a space where two people come together to escape from something else. It's a space created by two people for where they can share their challenges, their worries, their concerns, deal with the challenges of life together, and then still draw proper boundaries and take full responsibility and accountability for their own personal, mental, physical, and emotional well-being. That's what love really is. It's a space created by two individuals in a healthy way where both individuals can come to share with the other person what's really going on for them, while still maintaining full responsibility for all aspects of their life. Number 3, love does not equal compatibility. This was the hardest truth for me to accept. I can remember one of the first women that I was ever in love with. When we broke up, it was so devastating to me, and I actually broke up with her, but my heart was broken open even more, because I realized that just because you can love a human being doesn't necessarily you're a right fit for one another and you're not compatible. Many of the times I've coached individuals where they're in love with another individual and they stay in the relationship for a really long time past its due date because they both love each other, but their compatibility isn't working. And so they go back and forth, they fight, they argue, they get upset, and they want their significant other, their spouse, to change into a person that other person just isn't. It's important for us to recognize that yes, we can love, we can feel deep, passionate feelings for another human being. However, that being said, it doesn't mean that we're meant to be with that other person. In order for love to truly happen and to truly work, it takes a lot of relational skills. It takes a lot of communication skills. There's a lot that goes into it. I can remember times in the past and reflect on where I was in love with another person, but I didn't actually have the necessary set of relational skills or communicative skills to build a healthy, longevitous, sustainable relationship. So if you find yourself hopping from one person to the next, maybe ask yourself, do I need to build more skills, relational skills and communicational skills, to have a healthy relationship? And sometimes you may even love that person and feel like they're the one. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're meant to be together or have a relationship. All it means is that you really love that person. You can love anything. I love my morning cup of tea. I love kombucha halfway through the day. I love my little Honda Fit that I go snowboarding, that I use to go snowboarding up in the mountains. So it doesn't, just because we love something and love another human being really deeply, doesn't necessarily mean we're meant to be together. Compatibility is much more important. Number 4, life should be a friendship. This is absolutely key. Friendship is something that is formed when two people have no expectations of the relationship. It just feels really nice and good. Now, what our culture has trained us to do, conditioned us to do from movies, from society, from TV shows, is to first connect at the sexual level, then connect at the heart level, and then connect at the mind level. This is how people mostly get in relationships. They might feel a physical attraction, they have sex, they feel it at the heart, and then they come to the mind and realize that they don't even share the same ideas or thoughts, but at that point it's too late, they're already moved in. What we want to do is first create mental intimacy, share similar thoughts and ideas, see if we have similar worldviews or if we see the world the same way, then share emotional intimacy, or heart, and then once those two things are aligned and feel right, then you can consummate it with the physical act of sex. Now that's more of a puritanical religious view, but the point here is that there's a right way and a wrong way of getting into a relationship. And the right way is starting up at the mind, seeing if there's a mental connection there, then going down to the heart, feeling the emotional and heart connection, and then recognizing and committing to that person with the physical act. There's a reason why a lot of the religious traditions, the Jewish culture, the Christian culture, even though some of those bonding and ways of relationship are very unhealthy, there's a reason why they last. So if you're looking for a longevitous and sustainable relationship, you can look at the Hasidic or Jewish way of building a relationship. It's very, very detailed. They don't ever have physical intimacy until there's first intellectual intimacy and until there's first an emotional connection. And once those places are established, then you can actually have physical closeness, which solidifies the mental connection and the heart connection. So ask yourself, what type of connections do I want to create first in the relationship, and to make sure that I'm setting the right foundations for the entirety of the partnership. And finally, number 5, the most important, love means seeing your partner's needs and desires separate from your own. True love means recognizing that another human being is completely separate and different from you. It means seeing them past who they are to you and what they give you. That's actually what true love is. And it's messy, and it can be unclean and confusing, and it can be exhausting. It can be amazing, joyful, loving, exhilarating, blissful. It can be so many things. But the key number 1 facet I think that we need to accept as human beings when it comes to love is true love is seeing someone past your own desires. It's seeing them for who they really are. Seeing them not just as an independent being, but seeing through the eyes of another. Does that make sense? True love really comes down to recognizing that this person is a whole, complete person in and of themselves, and you're going to love them and be there for them despite your own desires and needs. I think that's a very healthy way of seeing love. Now, that doesn't mean letting someone take advantage of you and just disregarding your own needs, but true love is recognizing that this is another human being who I can still love and support, and I can do that beyond my own needs and my own desires. It's going past the boundaries of self. That's all I got for this time. Thanks so much for joining me, you guys. If you've liked this, please share and subscribe. Also, check out the YouTube description box there. I have a lot more free content. You can register for my Sacred Relationship series, where I'm interviewing relationship coaches and experts within the industry on their own journeys in relationship and how they work with individuals on relationship. And also, if you want to check out more free content, just check out the links there as well. I got a lot of great stuff. If you want to reach out and connect, please feel free to reach out and connect. I'm always interacting with the community, and if you have any questions or want to sign up for live coaching, there's links there for that as well too. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.